Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how I replaced the transom mount on a 12-foot Jon Boat. That being said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is replace all this rotted old wood and probably use some HDPE as a replacement, as well as on the inside here, and then I'll decide what I want to do with these 4 extra holes that they mounted the trolling motor to. This is the finished product of the interior section of the transom redo. Now normally I'd go through step by step, but because this was the first time doing this, I wasn't sure how it was going to work out. So now that I know it's going to work, I'll go through the method I did to get here. So to start off, I used 2 sections of HDPE material right here. One of them is 3/4 of an inch thick and the other is 3/8 of an inch thick. And I used those as a sandwich section because the original wood that I pulled out in rotted pieces all over the place was 9/8 inches thick. So the first thing I needed to do was measure the interior distance up here to the top of the inside lip and down here into the lower section. And that was going to give me my maximum interior coverage for the transom. But because this is a solid transom in here, I can't remove it in order to drop in that size piece. So what I ended up doing was cutting the piece to the original size I wanted, which was 12 inches in height. And then because this is a little more than 1/4 inches, what I did was I shaved off the bottom section, something like this. This is the major piece. And I just shaved off a bottom section here that would allow this to drop inside the transom. And then once I got that piece inside the transom, I slid the piece I cut off underneath it, which raised it up for a tight fit because it acted like a shim. So that's what I did for that. And then I added this other piece here, which gave me my 9/8 inch width that I needed, or thickness that I needed for this. So once I had all that done, what I did was I went around to the outside of the transom here and drilled my holes straight through both those pieces. And I'm using the original holes that were on this transom. So once I did that, I had everything in place so I could go around and add on the back section of this transom. Okay, so this is the outside exterior section of the transom, and what I used with this is 3/8 inch thick poly cutting board like this. And I just sized it and cut it to fit. And then once I had it where I wanted, I lined it up here along the edge on top here and drilled the holes straight through from both sides, making sure that the hole went through the outside plate through both interior plates for the transom to lock it in place. And I used carriage bolts like this to do this, and you see it's got the little square here, and normally these are used on fencing and stuff like that to keep it from rotating. So you can't just drill a hole big enough for the whole bolt to slide in, because then it's going to turn as you tighten it on the inside of the transom. So since these poly cutting boards melt fairly easy with a heat gun, I heated up this section with the heat gun of each of these bolts, and then I press fit them into the poly cutting board so they are melted in there and they're not going to turn whatsoever. And so when I put everything sandwiched back together and tighten it up, everything fit just fine. And then if you look over here to the left, you're going to see 4 rubber plugs in there, and those were holes that were used for a trolling motor mount from the previous owner, and I didn't want to do that, so I just found these rubber plugs I had and plugged up the holes so I don't have to do any welding or anything like that. So that's it. If you have any questions, please leave them for me in the comments. Thank you.